If you came here for the sanitized version or the safe version, you're in the wrong building. My name is Tim Black, and this is The Dangerous Show.
Why are the MAGA folk who were promising bombshells now dragging their feet? I'm old enough to remember this.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. Why is the FBI protecting the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list?
Some governments around the world may have some material that's related to the Epstein thing. Bill Clinton was knee deep in this, man.
He was knee deep. Yeah, you got to release it. Now what? What changed? They literally campaigned on this. It was part of the platform of MAGA.
We're going to use our common sense, right? That's the deal. I had a group of people that was saying back when Biden was president that obviously this is not being put out because they're trying to protect people. And they should absolutely put it out. You should absolutely put it out. Which they should disclose it, release the list. Release the list. Folks, the list not being released, to me, is an indictment. It shows blood on the hands. It shows dirt on the shoes. It shows guilt. For whoever is protecting whomever. Whoever's dragging their feet on releasing it obviously has something to hide. Because when you got nothing to hide, you go, what up? What up? It's not your list. Folks, this is not like somebody pulling you over and asking, can they search your car? This is not your car. This is a list from a pedophile, from a human trafficking ring. Why would you not want people? Why was that not out in the open if there's no people to protect? This is the Tim Black Show. Most dangerous show at night. Most dangerous night politics show in America. We got to say the truth, right? The truth is, obviously, when the Democrats had an opportunity between 2021 through 2023 to put out as much as possible, when they didn't do that, I don't want to hear, oh, but this person was on trial. You could have leaked stuff. You could have put out other things, other pieces of it. I don't remember Democratic politicians running around saying, release the list. They were quiet. They were quiet. Why weren't they being aggressive about this list? They're aggressive about it now. Something to hide. Turn the switch. See, it's perfect. It's perfect to expose the sellouts because now it's Trump. Now it's Trump. He's had the keys. And dragging their feet on releasing the list, dragging their feet on it. The same very people that were saying it should be released are now in power positions, and it still ain't out all the way. It's still coming out. Folks, same logic applies. If you said Democrats were hiding something, then you must be hiding something. Because once again, if it's got nothing to do with you, if you're not indicted, or if you're not exposed, why the hell would you protect somebody who did some egregious, illegal, depraved, degenerate garbage like this? Folks, I'm going to tell you something. As I look at this more simple and plain for what it is, dog, if we don't have officials, we don't have a government that will expose this, we doomed. I mean, think about it. The main person is deceased. And they still don't want to tell. Y'all still dragging y'all feet on this? Can't say it's Epstein's power. Can't say Epstein has this and that on you. Epstein is no longer amongst the living. right? So it is what it is. July 2025. They said no further Epstein files existed to release. They said there were no more Epstein files to release. It came from the Justice Department. A memo dated July 7, 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi stated there were no incriminating clients list and cited victim privacy concerns to halt additional releases. Trump dismissed the controversy as a hoax and a witch hunt. Let's keep going.
Sure that the Department of Justice didn't have this information, and if they didn't have this information, do we know whether or not they actually deleted this information? Do we know that there was a thorough investigation? Do we know whether or not the investigation had concluded? These are all questions that we need answers to, but we can't get them when you're not cooperating. So we don't know what the DOJ has, nor what it is that the DOJ potentially was trying to do. Considering that the president right now is trying to obstruct on some very basics of let's just get a subpoena that says release all the information, I wouldn't be surprised, just like he obstructed the prosecution of one of his henchmen who took $50,000 in taxpayer dollars from undercover officers. I wouldn't be surprised if he sent a message and said, stop investigating. We're done with this. Epstein's dead. I don't want to hear anything else about it.
Do you have any evidence of that claim?
I have no idea. No, that's the whole point. I have no information. And that's
That was a lot of allegations with no information. This is how
why we need these files to be released, because we are looking for transparency, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. Listen, if people decide that they want to continue to support a person who may be a pedophile himself, or a person who obviously is covering for pedophiles, that's on them. But they should know at least the devil that they have decided to pick.
Former Trump campaign advisor David Urban and former Democratic South Carolina State Representative Bakari Sellers. David, at this point, I mean, the steady drip of Epstein news cannot possibly be beneficial to the White House. Why do you think the president and his top officials have been fighting this effort to release the files?
Anderson, I have no idea. Like many others in the party, I think would just like to see it be dumped a long time ago, get everything out there. It is out there. Let the cards fall where they might. Let's put this behind us. I think what I've repeatedly said, Anderson, I think the most important thing, I'm sure these files are interesting. I don't think they're going to be damning for the president. I think there was anything in there that would have been leaked out by the past administration over the 4 years that they were in there. But I always keep saying, like, why don't we just call in the prosecutors who did this case, the federal prosecutors in Southern District of Miami, the U.S. attorney, and let's ask them why they gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal. That's, I think, the most important question here. Why did he get a sweetheart deal? What were the causes behind that? Not so much what's in these files at this point. I mean, I think everything that is going to be out at this point, but just dump it, get it out. I mean, the president ran on it. I think people want to know, Republicans, Democrats, and it is not getting better. It might go away after the House has this vote. The Senate's not going to take it up. The president surely won't sign it. So it'll become a moot point at some point soon. But they're a big part of the MAGA-verse and others that want to see transparency.
Bakari, I mean, it's interesting because David was talking about the prosecutors down in Florida. One of them had reportedly been prepared to have a multi-count, I mean, dozens of count indictment, but that was not taken up by the lead attorney, obviously, who has appeared before Congress. Do you see any alternative strategy the White House could adopt besides releasing the files? Obviously, I mean, if the president, if they did pass the Senate and it got as far as the president's desk, which, as David said, is highly unlikely, do you think the ramifications of him not releasing them would be great?
So there is an alternative strategy. I think you just laid it out, which is just to kind of let time heal all. The problem is this is a bed that Donald Trump has made. I mean, he's been talking about the Epstein Files since 2015. And I think that it becomes a little bit more complicated than what my good friend David Urban said when you're talking about just have the prosecutor who gave him the sweetheart deal come and testify in front of Congress, because now we have evidence that Ghislaine Maxwell is getting a sweetheart deal currently as she's sitting in federal prison, and she's in accommodations that are not necessarily deemed for those who are child sex offenders or child sex traffickers. And so it becomes a little bit more complicated than that. And we also know that she sat down with Todd Blanche for, I believe, 9 hours. And we know that the comments she gave Deputy Attorney General Blanche are diametrically opposed to the emails that came out. And so, yeah, I think that the only thing that you can do, people always say that sunshine is the best disinfectant. Right now, there is a great deal of hesitancy, not just from the MAGA base, but everyone. And then you have other politics at play. I mean, you have people like Nancy Mace who signed on to the discharge petition, and she's running for a governor of the state of South Carolina. Does that mean that somebody else, for example, gets that endorsement? So there's so many politics at play. But at the end of the day, one of the things that we know to be a fact is that Donald Trump palled around with the most notorious sex offender we have in the country. And he is reticent to giving the American public the full context of that relationship and Jeffrey Epstein's relationships with others.
David, why wouldn't the president just, I mean, he's been asked multiple times about commuting Ghislaine Maxwell's sentence. Why wouldn't he just say, yeah, no, she's a convicted sex offender, or it's not something I would, I mean, he's talked about, I'll talk to the Justice Department, I don't know anything about it, which is what he often says.
Anderson, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. I dispute with what Bakari says. Listen, at the end of the day, when all this gets out there, I don't think Donald Trump's going to have any fingerprints anywhere on these documents. Obviously, I can't be certain. I've not reviewed 30,000 plus pages or whatever there is left remaining. But again, I would suspect that during the 4 years of the Biden administration, if there were some damning, Anderson, you and I and Bakari, we sat and watched Donald Trump be led into courtroom after courtroom by Democrats, in power, trying to take the guy down. If there was a kernel of something in there that could take Donald Trump down, it would have been leaked already many years ago. So I think they should dump it, get over it, move past it quickly, move on to things that people care about in America, like pocketbook issues, their inflation and jobs. And I think this administration would do well to get to that point and start talking about the things they're doing to make people's lives better.
All right, David Urban, Corey Sellers, thank you. Coming up next.
Actually, Democrats can't. And I want to be clear. The file should be released. The file should be released. Yes. What I'm saying is Democrats are failing in their messaging. Every day in my comments, somebody says, release the files, release the files. When they should be hashtagging, build the bench, build the bench, build the bench. There should be a non-stop training. Let me just finish. You guys don't have a bench. You don't have anybody in the midterms. Your only hope is just a couple of candidates and talking about what's going on in New York. When are Democrats going? Because if you're getting everybody motivated, no, I'm serious. If you're getting everybody motivated on Epstein File, Epstein File, Epstein File,
and there's no only issue. She's right.
And there's no plan
issues.
B. There's no plan B like we just saw with this government shutdown.
There's no
plan B. What's going to happen?
I just like to respond, which is to say.
I think she hit the nail on the head.
Of course, I'd say.
And I'm not vouching for Republican, by the way. I just want to be clear.
1,000%. Yeah. Democrats should talk about multiple things. As
they
have talked,
but
I just disagree. We just won the Jersey.
Can I just finish? All you guys have talked about was Epstein.
Why did Mikey Sherrill win by 15 points? Why did Abigail Spanberger win by 15 points? Because those people talked about the cost of living.
Sweetheart, I live in the South. So what you're talking about, and let me be clear. No, but I'm saying you still have to win. You still have to win something called right. You won blue states, and what I'm saying, you still have to win something called the swing states in the South. You still have to. It was purple. So I'm not impressed until.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you're not impressed. I really am.
Listen,
but Democrats can talk about cost of
living,
you don't, which this president is failing at.
Dan, I want you to have the last word here.
Here's the other. With all due respect, that's totally wrong.
But here's the other problem.
We talked about
It's not enough.
Here's the other problem. The other problem.
It's not enough. To my community, it's not enough. And let's be clear.
I had very high turnout.
Let's be clear. The community I represent, which is the poor and the hood. Let me be clear about it. Let me be clear about it. They need to be motivated based on what's actually going to change their life. And I want to be clear: the Epstein Files should be released. I am not defending a pedophile by no stretch of the imagination.
The other issue is that Democrats. Guys, for 1 second, can you guys stop yelling over each other for 1 second?
Yeah. I never said you can't talk about it. Let's not play that game. No, I'm saying that you can't put all your chips on that alone.
No one is.
What I'm saying.
By the way, no one can hear what you're saying. Dan, go.
All right. Jesus Christ. Shout out to Tesla. I agree. Most working people in America are not focused on the Epstein Files. If you are focused on the Epstein Files, you probably don't have a lot of other problems in your life. You know what I'm saying? Because the guy's dead. You know, and if this rust that's happening, and if you think someone is continuing a drug ring or a human trafficking ring, most of this stuff is from 20 years ago, right? At least. Most of the documents that are being released. I'm thinking 5, 10, 15, 20, 5, 10, 20, something like that. Okay, so that part, I'm totally with Tesla and Figueroa on that. But I also want to say, like, when Neera Tanden, what she's talking about to me is she's conflating Abigail Spanberger did not win in Virginia because of Epstein Files. Hey, that's the last thing people would think about. I believe that's the last. Of course, there's some people, so maybe there's 2% of the people in Virginia who gave that was a mitigating decision in their vote. But much more than that, I don't think so. I'm kind of trying to wonder why would Tesla even be giving a shit about Democrats getting their squad up or getting their bench ready. I mean, if they don't want to get their bench ready, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, political punditry. Okay. Now we're, it's crazy to me. It just don't make sense. If the Democrats want to stay stuck on stupid and continue to peddle this, let them do that. Doesn't mean it's wrong to expose people who traffic people. Expose the hell out of them. But pretending that that's going to sway an election, it just isn't. It just won't. That does not mean we shouldn't find out what happens. That does not mean that this is not important. Just like all cases of corruption should be exposed. All cases of human trafficking should be exposed. The obscenity that we don't put more money into countering and resolving and defeating human trafficking in this country is a stain on America itself. With all our resources, we should be spending much more money to end human trafficking within our borders, and we don't. If you knew, last time I checked, it was not an area in which we put a whole lot of cash in. So let's keep going, guys. Let's see what else we got here on this topic, and we do.
Do you respond to those comments from Thomas Massie that essentially, if you vote to cover up for pedophiles, you've got cover in a Republican primary? He's essentially saying the president is going to help people who vote with him and vote not to release these files.
Well, here is the way that my people here in Louisiana see it, Casey. My people think, and I agree with them, that Epstein was a pig, a P-I-G pig. My people think that this is no country for creepy old men. My people believe, and I think they're right, that Epstein trafficked young women, some of whom were minors, to himself. But here's the issue. My people want to know who else, if anyone, did Epstein traffic young women to? And if they were punished, how were they punished? And if they weren't punished, why? Now, President Trump has turned that issue over to Attorney General Bondi. And I don't know how she is going to answer that question for the American people without releasing all the records. Maybe she can, but I just don't think this issue is going to go away until that issue is addressed and answered to the American people's satisfaction. Yeah. And I may end up with a sombrero on my head for saying that, but that's the way I see it.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Let the truth be told. The reason why Democrats get to focus on the Jeffrey Epstein issue is because the Republicans focus on the Jeffrey Epstein issue. That's why, folks. Is that because they're crazy, kooky Democrats? It's because Republicans made this an issue. They kept going, boss, the plane. Then when the plane came in, they say, look over there, no plane, don't look at the plane. Doesn't make much sense, does it? That's because there's a bunch of underage girls on that plane, isn't it? Tattoo. Okay. The House Oversight Committee released 20,000 new Epstein documents. It proves one thing. One thing is proven. No one can deny it. I dare a Republican to deny it. I dare a MAGA supporter to deny it. And we already know no Democrats of worth, except for John Fetterman, will deny it. Donald Trump lied when he said there were no documents to release. That was a lie. According to our report, DNA results say you are the father of the lie that said there were no documents to release. There were documents to release because we just released them. There are 20,000 documents, by the way. And I heard someone else say 30,000. I thought it was only 20. More and more keep happening every day, sort of like illegals. There are emails and documents. Some of it is garbage. Some of it is interesting. Some are whatever. And the facts are Epstein was rearrested under Donald Trump. August 10, 2019, Donald Trump arrested Jeffrey Epstein. Fact. That was his first term. His first term, 2017, January 20th, 2017. Trump was inaugurated as the 45th president. It ended on January 20th, 2021. All under Trump. Trump says everything here is political attack. It's all politics. It's a hoax. They're attacking me. To me, it's clear both parties dragged their feet about releasing information on Epstein. Biden had 2021, when he came into office, to 2023. All of these liberal pundits, commentators, people yapping, Neera Tanden, Sonny Hostin, Whoopi, white lady filling in for Abby Phillip, anybody, all people, everyone in corporate media had an opportunity to voice their concerns, to point at Epstein under Biden. 2 years. 2021 and 2023. Trump has had from 2024 until now. And what he's been doing is a whole lot of pointing the other direction. To the point where he says none of his supporters, he's disowning people who are calling for the release of the documents that he himself originally called for the release of. It does not take a rocket scientist to ascertain maybe there's some incriminating information in those documents. Why else would you say, show the videotape, and then be like, we ain't got no videotape. What videotape? I don't know what you're talking about. Anybody who brings up a videotape is dead to me. And then they go all the way now and just pretend it's a hoax. If this entire thing is a witch hunt, if it's all a hoax, release the files and get it over with. Be done with it. There are some there. There are some there, or it wouldn't be hidden. It wouldn't be redacted. It would be out in the open. Trump runs the FBI and Department of Justice. I don't care what anybody says. Trump distancing himself from Pam Bondi to pretend he's separated is nonsense. They report to you. Stop the MAGA silence. Stop falling in line. Don't want to help the Democrats? This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about truth. Which we all know doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot in D.C., in corporate life, or anywhere else. Very rarely do you go buy a refrigerator from a name brand store and they tell you to get the one that they're not getting the best commission on. Sometimes it happens, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while you run into somebody who actually puts your interests first. But not that often. Not as often as you think you do. That's why they're called good salesmen. So what do we find out? What do we know? We know we have some documents right now, and we know that Trump's name is in those documents. He will not get away with this. This is just causing more damage. You pull the bandage off quick. Trump says he's not a drinker. He should take up drinking. Take a hit of that scotch, look over there, and let's pull this bandage off and get it over with. Let the chips fall where they may. But then again, that would take courage. Social courage or social truth. Imagine a guy who started a website called Truth Social doesn't want to socially tell the truth or doesn't want to show the truth. Show the truth. This is the destruction of one of the most powerful political movements in the history of politics in this country, MAGA. MAGA will eat itself alive over this. And it's all because back in the 90s, they liked to party. And it wasn't just Democrats. First of all, now that we got that all out the room, now can we have a conversation amongst real people? How about real people that who have walked the earth for more than 2 seconds? Let's say people that are 40 and over. All my adults, can we adult for a second? I remember when I was in high school, there'd be guys out of high school, college, even grown-ass men in their 30s, coming up to the high school to pick up girls. We'd be like, look at this old-ass dude talking to this junior or sophomore. And she'd get in his car, his nice car, and go to lunch. They probably weren't going to lunch. R. Kelly's not the only person who came to high schools fishing for girls. It was a time of debauchery, degeneracy, but the only thing about it was not labeled debauchery and degeneracy. We're talking about a network in the Epstein case, a network, a structured organization. And to add ripples in, there's evidence in these new emails, these new documents, that there was money trading hands with Israelis, that Epstein was receiving monies, there were checks and bank routing information. Folks, they were using this trafficking to blackmail, to force people to do their bidding, to have evidence above their heads that they could use to compromise folks. This was a tool of organized crime. That's what this was. But if you've been around long enough to know, this was just another day in the office in the 90s, dare I say late 80s, mid 90s, late 90s, probably at least up to 2000. Most Americans don't want to admit that America has a lot of shady stuff and did have a lot of shady stuff that was a lot more obvious and apparent and just out in the open, and very little did people talk about it. I mean, even Kamala Harris herself was a socialite dating a married man in public in that same time period. Not to conflate the two, all I'm saying is that morally we were a different country. Certain things were more acceptable than they are now. Trump got caught out there having a whole lot of money doing a whole lot of shit. I do not believe it's only Trump. We only focus on Trump because he's the only president right now. Saying other people did it does not cloud my judgment. I don't think it should cloud yours either. We ain't here to protect Trump. Trump can protect himself. The bottom line is you either think that trafficking young women and girls is wrong or you don't. That's it. This ain't on the side of Republicans or on the side of Democrats. It's on the side of where your moral compass is. And if you're willing to tell the truth or not. All right, folks. That's all I got on this topic. Let's go to comments. And then we'll go to the second part of the show. You're watching the Tim Black Live, the most dangerous night show in America. What say you? What say my people, my people? Let's get some chiming in from the folks, man. I think I make sense. My God. Lord have mercy. There it is. By the Republicans ran on releasing those files. The window was unlocked. Go ahead, Diamond G. Yo, what up, Jay? Yo, what's up, man? People being real. It's like we got a bunch of people that don't want to keep it real, fam. They do not want to tell the truth. Oh, Buck said, look. Buck said, don't read the comments, Tim. Buck, I gotta put your comment on the comments. Okay, look. Popayaneo says, look, man, on a nothing burger, as related to Trump. Now the others, nah. Still nothing burgers. They done destroyed the real records long ago. There it is. Sounds like a J. Edgar Hoover move. Get dirt on everybody. There it is. Yeah, man. All right, guys. Look, I'm getting a lot of different comments. People voicing their opinion on the issue. I appreciate it. Buck said he's trying to control my blood pressure. My blood pressure's pretty good, Buck. Pretty good, man. You know what I'm saying? It could always be better, but it's not bad. I don't have high blood pressure, but, you know. Tim gonna get us in trouble. No, I'm not gonna get you in trouble, Ron. I'm just saying, man, people are not being honest. People are not being honest. People are not being real about the debauchery of the United States of America. They're not being real about the activities, the proclivities, what was acceptable just a mere 25 years ago. I know people don't want their kids to know, but dad and mom, more than likely, things happened. They're not going to admit it. You're not going to have a lot of honest takes on these issues for obvious reasons. They're just not going to keep it real, fam. All right, go to jointimblack.com to become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. Members get all the live streams in their totality. That's at least 24 length shows of 2 hours or more. It's your mailbox on a dime. Also, access to all the freebies, all the new stuff, everything we put out. Not to mention swag and cool stuff that I put out, that I send out. Not to mention ebooks and other downloadable digital products that I release. You get first crack at everything. So go to jointimblack.com, starting at only $5 a month, and get yours. Be a part of it. Be a VIP. Come on now. Sometimes you gotta live dangerous. All right. Let's keep it going, Johnson.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
You know, years and years ago, members of Congress moved their families to Washington. So you could fight all day on the Hill, and when you leave work, your kids are playing on the same sports teams. You're going to the same Stop and Shop. Civility and decency existed.
Totally agree.
Now, nobody moves to D.C., so they go on TV, they kick each other, they punch each other, they talk about game, and they don't work together. That right there is why the American people, regardless of the political party, have such a low opinion of Congress. Now, I hear you, all the flaws in Obamacare, and I hear you that Republicans don't like it. So great, giddy up, boys. What's your solution? They have offered a grand total of nothing. Donald Trump has been dumping on Obamacare since the day he became a politician. And the only thing
since 2014.
The only thing we have heard from him is concepts of a new plan. Bring on the plan. A nerd like me can't wait to read it.
Stephanie Rule right here. I got to ask you this. Having said all of that, where do the Democrats go from here? Now that the shutdown is coming to an end. And obviously, you got to go back. I know there's a negotiation. They're asking for roll calls and all of this stuff. Who's going to vote for? Who's going to vote against? We get all of that part. But how do you see things unfolding over the next few months in light of what just transpired?
What Democrats need to do more than just in the next few months, but the lesson learned in this last election, connect with your voters. Abigail Spanberger winning in Virginia, Mikey Sherrill winning in New Jersey, Zoran Mondani winning in New York. I don't know that any of them would have won those elections if they were. Mondani wouldn't have won in Virginia, and I don't know that Abigail Spanberger would have won here. The thing that every Democrat and lawmaker needs to do, you're watching Marjorie Taylor Greene do it. Get your brain out of Washington and out of your party and out of your talking points and connect with your voters and see what they want and they need and try to solve for that.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Yeah, when it comes to the whole healthcare issue, guys, we got to admit that's something me and Mrs. Black discuss. The bottom line is, if the Obamacare is so bad, and it is, people say, oh, it's not perfect. No, really? It's not perfect, really? I've been saying that from day one. What's the alternative? I think a party. Well, not a party. I think a country that could come up with technology that can put together some of the most advanced weaponry systems to take lives, could come up with a plan that did not bend over the American people without the benefit of taking them to the movies first and then leave them to die undiagnosed or due to lack of coverage. You understand what I'm saying? We could come up with a plan to fix that. We come up with a healthcare plan. So the fact that we haven't, to me, it's not just a lack of, it's not a lack of ability. It's a lack of priority. It's a lack of wanting to. That's what I'm saying. And That goes back to the whole corruption thing I've been telling you. I believe strongly, fam, anything in America that we don't have is because they don't want us to have it. It's not because we can't afford it. It's not because it can't be done. It's because, for instance, here goes a perfect example. Remember back in the day when we had VHS tapes? Remember VHS tapes? Okay. VHS tapes. Put them in the Betamax, not the Betamax, the VHS, the VCR, those days. I remember having all these VHS tapes. Had a whole wall of them. Used to easily bootleg them. It was an amazing industry. There were all these movie rental stores all across America, small towns, everywhere. The hood, rural areas, suburban areas, it's what it was. Then came the DVD, upgraded technology. Do you think the DVD came in because of, I don't know, why do you think it was allowed to come in and displace VHS? Someone made a decision. Powers that be made a decision that they were going to let this technology be introduced. It had superior quality. VHS tapes used to break and pop and get jammed, and you never really had that with DVDs. DVDs could get scratched, but that wasn't as bad as the VHS tapes. And what I'm saying is, you had a whole new industry waiting to come in that was already developed and up and ready. But the powers that be had to allow it to become commercialized. They had to allow it to be distributed. And I look at that as an example of what I'm saying, which is we could create something better. What's better is already there. But it's the powers that be to allow that to happen. There's a reason why we don't have better health care. It's not because we can't do it. It's not because we love VHS tapes. It's because there's an industry, there's money being made off the VHS tapes.
Black.
The H1Bs right now are not going to shipbuilders.
Because they don't build ships here.
Well, yeah, but also because if you're building, if you're building ships for the U.S. military, you're probably not doing it on an H1B. That's the first thing. But the second thing is they're trying to sort of like shoehorn this policy into their tariff policy, and it's really not that. I do think the H1B program needs some attention. It needs some degree of reform.
Abby, do you want the next Einstein to come to America or to Shanghai? What do you want?
It's about fighting for talent and people that are brilliant.
I'm not fighting against an H-1B visa, folks. I'm the daughter of immigrants. Both my parents are naturalized citizens of this country.
So you should be for bringing people here.
I am saying there are real concerns that people have about companies that abuse the system.
We're talking about genius, bringing 65,000 geniuses to America.
Kevin, you know that it is not just geniuses. Sometimes they're abusing the system and sort of bringing in medium to low wage workers to.
How many of them are at Meta or at Microsoft? Or at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital or at MD Anderson, where they have people who come to.
I'm not arguing against H-1Bs. I'm just saying the percentage of those visas that go to life sciences is 1.9%. Mathematics and physical sciences, 2.9%. 4.4% go to medicine and health.
Right, but what percentage of the economy is that? It's probably, I bet you it's pretty close to that.
65% of H-1B visas go to computer-related jobs.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? It's technology.
All I am saying is that actually, I think you're right. Maybe there's an argument to be made that more of those visas should be available for rural hospitals, should be available for people in the life sciences, should be available for researchers, should be available to the geniuses in other fields.
So let me go back to the core here.
My dear fellow Americans, I'm introducing a bill to completely eliminate the H-1B visa program, which has been riddled with fraud and abuse and has been displacing American workers for decades. There will only be one exemption in my bill, and it will allow for a $10,000 per year cap on visas issued to medical professionals like doctors and nurses who provide life-saving care to Americans. However, even this $10,000 per year cap will be phased out over 10 years to allow us time to build our own pipeline of American doctors and physicians. My bill will also restore the original intent of the visa, for it to be temporary. These visas were intended to fulfill a specialty occupational need at a given time. People should not be allowed to come and live here forever. We thank them for their expertise, but we also wish them well so they may return to their home country. My bill will take away the pathway to citizenship, forcing visa holders to return home when their visa expires. In order to build our pipeline of American doctors and medical professionals, my bill will also prohibit Medicare-funded residency programs from admitting non-citizen medical students into their programs. Just last year alone, there were over 9,000 doctors in the U.S. who graduated from medical school but were left without a residency placement. Meanwhile, in 2023 alone, there were over 5,000 foreign-born doctors who received residency spots. This is entirely unfair, and it's America last. My bill will help mitigate the shortage of doctors and nurses in our country, the shortage that we face, while at the same time serve as an off-ramp from our reliance on foreign workers by allowing us time to fill our residency programs with American doctors. Now, this will completely end the H1B Visa program in all other sectors in the job force and in the workforce. This is America first. It's time to put American citizens first instead of foreigners first. And this has gone on, and this has been an abuse for far too long. Americans deserve a future, they deserve a chance, and I believe Americans are the most talented people in the world, the most creative, and I want them to have their American dream. Thank you.
This is the most dangerous show in America, the Tim Black Show. No masters, no middlemen. At least I gotta change that. Changing the time of the show. Okay, guys, so what do you think about the H1B visas? Okay, so one thing that got me confused as I watched this is I was thinking, didn't they have a cap on this? I had to look it up. 3 years. So there was a 3-year cap on H1B visas. H1B visas had a cap of 3 years to a max of 6 years. So they shouldn't be here forever. So that's what I'm saying here. What else? You had to have a bachelor's. Doesn't sound like you got to be a rocket scientist to have a bachelor's. Just be able to go to get a bachelor's in your own country. One thing I do have to say is I find it crazy that these people that, they complain about, we've got these people coming into the country, yada, 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 yada. They don't see that we're not putting our money to work for Americans to be able to have access to these degrees, access to these types of training programs. We should not have to go get people outside of the country to do these jobs. And we don't have to. We've been choosing to because we can pay them less. There are people that don't get the hustle. And I think some of the people that don't get it refuse to get it because they think it supports the people that are coming in. And I think it depends on who you are. It depends on what your background is, if you see this as a problem or not. It is what it is. Man, Donnie's a perfect example. He said, New York is a city of immigrants, powered by immigrants, run by an immigrant. What do you think his opinion is of H-1B visas? As opposed to me, a black American born in this country, parents from here, grandparents from here, great-grandparents from here, great-great-grandparents from here. What do you think my opinion of that is? Why aren't there more training programs and more access to those programs, to education for people like me, people who grew up like me? And Ma'am Donnie would fight for his immigrant friends to get that access to come into America. and take those jobs and get that training, right? And I think it's something even more diabolical, fam. I think some of this is they want us to believe that folks, particularly Black Americans or working class Black and white Americans, and all of us here, that we don't want it. Yeah, they want to sell this notion. It's classes. It's really classes, right? Where they give this idea, they paint a picture that we don't want. We lack ambition, that we don't want to work harder, that we do not want to take care of our families, that we don't want to be doctors and lawyers and engineers in all these other professions. The H1B visas are people in their own countries who are doing quite well. These are not jobs. These are not lines of work where impoverished people who are not already doing well would have those advanced degrees in order to qualify to be a part of the H1B Visa campaign. You understand? This idea, we're rescuing these people from a hard life. These are people at the top. Take Vivek. Vivek's family, scientist, literal scientist with multiple degrees, came to America, and they get to tell you, I didn't have any money. I came with $2 and no shoes. You came with 2 degrees, a certification, came and got into a program. Within 6 months or a year or whatever was in this program, you already had money. You had a place to live. Where'd you live at? Where'd that come from? So there are pictures. The stories are not fleshed out, is what I'm trying to tell you. Kamala Harris's mom, she came to America on a similar program. There are many, many people. I think of Barack Obama's dad, his African dad. Where'd he come from? He came here. How did he get in a program here to go on to be a professor? I think if you're gonna make the claim, if your argument is you want America to do better by Americans, if you want America to focus on lifting its own people out of lower middle class and be able to have opportunity, then you gotta be able to say, you gotta be willing to say, we need to focus our attention here on those American citizens and giving them a pathway to do that. You gotta make the resources available. But when you got people that are rather degrade Black Americans right here in our own country, when you got people that are so racist here in America that they see people that grew up in the same country as them is derogatory, where they would call him garbage or what have you, where they totally discredit opportunity for those people based on stereotypes and other racist beliefs, Johnson, I just don't have a lot of faith in any of this. So you got a system where you're able to hire and undercut those workers, underscore your own belief system where those people don't want to work hard enough to get the jobs, that these people are not going to apply themselves. And meanwhile, it's all propaganda so that the employers, the contractors can hire people with expertise, sometimes advanced expertise, and pay them a lot less, and then basically keep them imprisoned in a program or get deported. That's what's happening. So they get to use America's hatred of Black Americans, poor white people, to keep an underclass of Black Americans poor and poor white people poor, and then import people that were invested in other countries by their government to put them through schools, bring them here and underpay them, basically locked in indentured servitude 3 to 6 years. And when I hear Marjorie Taylor Greene taking a step out of beefing with Jasmine Crockett to work on a real issue that I feel is not about Trump bad, Trump evil. Yeah, she's ironically, she is now saying things that's similar. She got similar criticism of Donald Trump. It's kind of crazy. Marjorie Taylor Greene is roasting Trump these days. But to see her make a turn from that to focusing on this, and instead of getting behind it, of course, if you're a Democrat, you can't act like it makes sense to invest money in Americans instead of H1B visas. You saw O'Malley, whatever, the billionaire, caping for bringing other people in instead of creating those talents here domestically. You see it. You see the connection. Anyway, I support this. I do. I support it. I don't think you need to throw all the extras on it and make it all like we're going to demonize these people for coming over here. No, they put the focus on the corporations. Put the focus on the corporations who benefit by bringing in the H1B visas. People. Because they're not breaking in the country. They're coming here on a visa. Okay? They're being invited in. It's a program. So don't demonize them for a program that corporations had to apply for to get them, okay? They would rather do that. They would rather use that program to get talent at a discount. Is that to say it's better talent? Martin O'Malley's full of shit. Is that to say there's better talent? It's cheaper talent. Don't tell me it's about to getting the next Einstein. Abby Phillips just got there and sold you. She just told you that that's not the case. A lot of these jobs, a lot of these geniuses are not even working in the disciplines that you are even referring to. They use this idea that we're going to let the next Einstein slip through and go to China. Dog. A lot of these people are not Einstein. They're just engineers, people with computing engineering degrees who want to work for $15 an hour instead of the $75 an hour they should be able to demand. And I think it's more than that, actually. Understand? So that's where it is. And having some experience in contracting in the federal government, I'm telling you, it's a mechanism to get cheaper labor. It's the same thing they do when they talk that bullshit about crops need to be picked. Same thing. Someone's got to pick apples. Someone's got to clean the hotels. Someone's got to cut the grass. I'm going to tell you something that people don't tell you. Get some work done on your home. Get some work done on your home. Get some domestic work done that you're getting too old to do. You know what you'll find out? You'll find out that most of the people that come to do it are going to be of Hispanic descent. Yeah, you'll have Hispanic roofers, electrical workers, plumbers, the whole nine. You'll look around at everybody working and you won't see any white people or black people. You'll see just Latino people. Don't tell me I'm full of shit when I seen it. I seen it. So, not to demonize them. A job is open, a person's going to get a job. It's not demonizing those people. What I'm saying is we must invest in our people to give them a pathway to something besides jail, to something besides Uber, Lyft, and Amazon. My son, your daughter, your son, your daughter deserve more opportunity than the service industries. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. The corporations have no vested interest in fulfilling that for America. You don't have to like Marjorie Taylor Greene. What did I say in the beginning of this show? It's about truth. America's truth crisis. The crisis is people too busy fighting for parties. They want to browbeat you about shaming you about parties, the worst people in the party. This ain't about Trump. This ain't about Biden or Clinton or Kamala. This is about America. And the truth is, America will neglect its own people to exploit other people, then call them foreigners and illegals. And if that's not diabolical, sinister, heinous, and dirty pool what is. And then when your kids can't do as well as you, they say it's because they lack ambition, focus. And then they come up with dumb shit like black fatigue. All right, let's keep going, family. Thank you for being here. You're watching the most dangerous show in politics, the Tim Black Show.
But we will be looking at every single TSA official that helped serve during this government shutdown and do what we can to recognize that and help them financially with a bonus check to get them and their family back on their feet. So with that, Rico, I want to present to you a check and say thank you from the American people. Appreciate it. Ashley, thank you. Yes. And is Leo here? All right, Leo.
Wow, Johnson. Yeah, I'm gonna want y'all to see this whole thing. Everybody get their paper. I want to see this. This is important.
So, thank you.
Stop, pause, gotta say it. Money, 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 money. Folks, I called this a couple days ago on our Wednesday show. I said, you know what, Donald Trump is floating this idea that he's going to give a $2,000 dividend to every American. He's saying the money from the tariffs and the money from the Doge has resulted in a dividend to the American people that he wants to give $2,000 to the American citizen, to the average American citizen. To that, Democrats boo-hooed and said, blah, 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 blah. How can you do that? Look at the budget, yada, yada, yada. I said Donald Trump is thinking about paying his way out of this mess. Yeah, you can use the media to paint a narrative that he shut down the government. You can use the media to trash him, and you can have spokespeople from the Democrats and the left call him Hitler all day. But he has this thing, I don't know if you heard of it. It's called a pen. And with this pen, friends are made. 24 hours later, I see this video on social media. Norm is passing out $10,000 checks to TSA workers who had to work and not get paid. Now, this is not the same thing. This is not Doge. This is not tariff money. This is money back money. Kristi Noem personally handed out $10,000 bonus checks to exemplary TSA workers at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport. These frontline heroes who clocked in unpaid day after day, taking on extra shifts to keep air travel humming despite nationwide disruptions, embodied the unsung patriotism that ensured America did not grind to a halt. Okay, so I wonder, folks, if the people that received those checks are happy with Trump right now. I think they are. I wonder if it was the Democrat who did that, would people be shitting on it? I don't think they would, Johnson. I think Democrats are going to naturally condemn anything that Trump does. And I think anything Democrats do that are positive, Republicans will probably do the same thing. It's what politics is. But us as American citizens, and me as the host of the Tim Black Live show, I got to say, I'm happy to see this. I don't care if it hurts Democrats or if it helps Trump or either or. I think it helps those people that had to go to work for a month without pay. I think it helps them. And I hope that the same thing happens with the federal workers. I hope federal workers get their money in a lump sum and that somehow this whole shutdown instituted by the Democrats in order to try to stick it to Trump, I hope that it backfires or that it turns into a positive, a net positive somehow. Because I'm hoping for the people. Not to help Trump, not to sink the Democrats, but to help the people that were put in a situation, not because they did something, but because our politics is full of shit. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I would like to see happen. Donald Trump has a way out of all this mess. Never feel sorry for Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States of America. He has a pen. Whether it's $2,000 dividend checks or $500 happy to see you checks. Anything along those lines works. Also, nothing for nothing, he's in his second term. He won't be running again. So he already won. Let's go to Michelle Obama, shall we? Yeah, let's go to Obama.
All for being there for us.
You stepped into a role that carried a preconceived idea of femininity and wifedom that was founded on the landmines of racism and misogyny. What the First Lady wears is one of the main ways, which you've already said, that a First Lady is talked about. It comes with so much historical expectation. How do you feel about the fact that the First Lady is an archetype for wifedom and femininity?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that. It's it is a completely throwback on. It's a definition that has no current status in how women actually show up in the world today.
Do you think that impacts the room that we've made for a woman to be president?
Well, as we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. You know, we got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
I just said, we don't need to ask it again. You answered it.
So,
femininity, wifedom.
Yeah. I mean, I think we still have growing to do in that regard. And, you know, we can see how progress can be made and things can be snatched back when it comes to us owning our power as women. Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't. It just...
Next on deck
All right. Let's go with the hair first. We'll double back to the other stuff. None of my business. I can't talk about it, obviously. It's not really a subject I can talk about. Not with any authority, considering. Notice I had to look at it as if you couldn't see it. But yeah, the dad of 3 girls, yeah, I can attest to the expensiveness and the time that's required for young black women or black women in general, and also a wife. I have a wife, for all those things to happen with hair. So yeah, I totally agree. But still, from a limited perspective on that. But I would like to caution any of the brothers out there, man, who might have heard this segment and heard this and wanted to form an opinion really that was kind of negative of Michelle Obama. Look, man, or like to get this feeling of, I don't want to hear about this again. Folks, like I said, I'm not of this. I'm not a woman, so I can't, I can't. This is not a new issue, and it's an issue that will always be with us. And there are people that have to deal with this issue of their hair every day. So I think it's insulting to black women when black men will be like dismissive of this. And best believe there's going to be some conservatives who probably made videos about this, who roasted Michelle Obama or had negative things to say. But they get up every day, and the first thing on their head is not what they're going to do, or the first thing in their minds is not what they're going to do with their hair that day. And just that you don't have that means you got room for all the other shit that you got to do. Means you just one less thing in life you don't have to be worried about. So I think it's, like I said, I think it's hella corny for you to dismiss other people's situation, man, when you don't have to deal with it. So just give them the space, give black women the space to feel the way they feel about this situation and support them in that. That's if you love them. That's if you love them. If you don't, continue to do dumb shit about a topic that don't impact you, that you can never fully understand. Okay. Now, let's move on to the real delicious part of this. Lord, when we gonna ever get to a place where people can just admit, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're qualified. And when I mean qualified, I don't mean on paper. Look, man, Kamala Harris, she did not win an election. She had a chance. She still became the vice president of the United States. I know that's not enough if you think she should have been president. If you're comparing her to Donald Trump. Here's the thing. A lot of people lost to Trump. A whole bunch of white guys lost to Trump. No one goes, oh God, no white guys. You understand what I'm saying? Trump was hard to beat. Maybe if she would have been up against McCain, maybe she would have won. Maybe if she was up against Mitt Romney, maybe she would have won. She's up against a guy who won his primary 3 times. But back to Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, I'm pretty sure you'll never see this. Maybe, Kamala, maybe the reason why you say America's not ready is because America hasn't had an opportunity to have the right person as a woman be elevated by a political party to be put in a position where she can demonstrate all of the other things you needed to exhibit, to show, to win over America, to be put in that position. I think it will require the right woman who exhibits whatever's necessary to get the bulk of a party, to give her the nomination, and then for her to be able to go out into the rest of the world, the rest of the country, and on the world stage, to get an amount of people from the other side to say the same thing. Or at least be able to say, you're better than the other person. And that's really all it takes. But then that's everything, isn't it? I just don't think that Kamala Harris is that person. And I don't think it has to do just with her being a woman. Of course, it has something to do with her being a woman. But then again, if she wasn't a woman, will we know who she is? I don't think that if Kamala Harris was a guy named Kevin Harris, we'd even know who he was. I think she actually benefited from being a black woman. I know I'm going to catch heat for that, but I'm just going to say it. Because when I hear her talking, I do not go, wow. I don't think I've ever heard Kamala Harris say anything that made me go, wow, that was profound. Wow, that was deep. Nothing. These are things presidents tend to be able to do. These are attributes that people should be able to display. Being a president, as much as being an actor, as being a performer is. As much as it is as being a politician. I know you can't keep it real. You can't say it even if you thought it. And even if you do ever see this and agree, you never agree publicly. Lord knows you wouldn't want this black man with this black-owned media company to actually succeed. People talk a lot of shit, but they don't actually want to be a part of helping it succeed. But the truth is the truth. This is the Tim Black Live Show. We're the most dangerous night show in America. And I'm telling you, if Kamala Harris was not an Indian, Jamaican, black woman, she is not a public official. She don't make it. Now, you can take that any way you want to take it. Does America have racial problems? Of course it does. Does America have problems of misogyny or the way it views women? Yes. I believe that too. But does America also have amazing ability to elevate people that just get it or they just get? Yeah, that too. And that's how you end up with a Kamala Harris as vice president. That's how that happened. All right, let's keep going, guys. This is the Tim Black Show, watching us live here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and now on Kick. That's right, y'all, I'm on Kick. I don't know how to kick it on Kick, but I'm on Kick. What's up, Kick? If you're on Kick watching, let me know you're watching on Kick.
With Tim Black.
Because Trump was elected because he was so radical, so outside the Beltway, so different, so unconventional, so direct, and not politically correct. Like, he was elected because we thought he would turn Washington upside down. What can we possibly do to get a different outcome? You elect Bush, you get a war. You elect Obama, you get a war. You elect Trump, you get a war. Biden, a war. So what do we have to do? Who do we actually have to elect to set something right? And then people say, why is Nick Fuentes popular? Why do people say Nick Fuentes should run for president? I'm not going to run for president, in part because I'm too young. But it's like, why do you think people are embracing this show? Why do you think people are embracing this? Because they will take an edgelord over a sex criminal. They will take an edgelord. Yes, as a matter of fact, they will tolerate a racist. They will tolerate someone who they consider to be odious over somebody who is raping our country and selling out our country and compromised by the worst people in the world to give us war. It's the most evil shit imaginable. You're covering up a child sex trafficking ring because you're implicated in it. And the consequence of this is you have to give Israel missiles to murder children by the millions and drag your own country into another war, the very kind of war that you ran to stop. Like, there's layers of evil here. Sex crimes and murder and conspiracy and treachery and deceit. All of it. And people are so disgusted and furious And they're just, I'm telling you, the people of the country are furious. You think I'm angry? I'm at least a little cheerful. The people of this country are furious. They are beside themselves. How much longer and how much more of this do you think people will tolerate? How much more of it do you think people will take? How many more weird school shootings and weird assassination attempts, sex trafficking rings, wars? How much more of this do you think people will take? How many more dead Charlie Kirks, weird stuff going on around that? How much more of that do you think people can take before they're ready to vote for something really radical? Something destabilizing. That's where this is all going. All of it. We want a fucking country. We don't want to be invaded by 10 million illegals in 4 years. We don't want to go to war with Iran over fake nuclear weapons. We don't want a government that's apparently in bed with child sex traffickers. Is it too much to ask? Are those unreasonable demands? Am I a Nazi for saying this? Seriously. 10 million illegals in 4 years? A war with Iran over nuclear weapons that don't even exist. Is that a joke? Epstein Files being buried? Aren't you the guy that was going to stop all this? Who are you? It's like, what is this, Bill Clinton and George Bush put together? I mean, we elected Trump as a repudiation of the legacy of all these presidents. He's all of them rolled into one. He's a warmonger like Bush. He's a sex criminal like Bill Clinton. He's demented like Joe Biden.
Damn.
We elected him to repudiate these presidents. He's all of them put together. And we can't even deport illegal aliens. We're deporting anti-Semites.
Damn.
America's a sleeping giant, and this is why we want to wake up the country. The country's furious. There's anger. There's so much potential energy in the country. And all it's going to take, watch. It's going to be a crisis. It'll be maybe a mass casualty event, economic meltdown, World War III will pop off, whether it's in the Taiwan Strait or it's in Iran or it's, but the war is coming. All of these things are hurtling towards us, and then it's going to explode, and a sleeping giant will wake up. America will wake up. And I just hope that we have a benevolent tyrant. I just hope that whoever that tyrant is, whoever emerges, whether it will be of the left or of the right, I just hope that tyrant will be benevolent, because that's kind of the last card that we have to play here. It's like, what if everything blew up and some forceful warlord seized power, like we're at French Revolution levels of chaos and dysfunction, the late Tsarist Russia levels of dysfunction. That's clearly where this is headed. And by the way, I don't say this because I want that to happen. I don't say this because I think that will be good. I think it will be horrifying. And I think it's preventable. But Trump was the opportunity to stop all this, and it didn't happen. So I say that with great sadness and wariness. But I feel like that's where we're headed. I've been telling you that.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Hey, man. Hey. Let's okay, so now you see why people like Nick Fuentes. Because he really does not have an allegiance to Donald Trump. And he definitely does not have an allegiance to the Democratic Party. So those are two good reasons right there. My mic on? You listen to all this from Nick, and you realize he's just a young guy. Young guy with a lot of thoughts and ideas. I don't know if he fleshed out some of these. But let's take him for his word. Let's consider for a second, guys, that Donald Trump was elected because people wanted a way out. And let's take him for his word when he says he believes part of the reason why they elected Trump is people wanted something radically different than what we had. And I agree with him on that. I think that's part of what some people thought. It wasn't this scary liberal thing where they just wanted a bigot They wanted somebody that had, no, they were willing to elect a guy who said a lot of offensive things if he was going to be different than the other guys they had who kept doing the wrong things. People were less concerned with his language and more concerned with what he said he was going to do, which was make America great again. Nobody else was on that shit. But my thing is this, even if you believe that's the premise, if you accept, and it's going to be hard for a lot of liberals to accept, hard for progressives to accept, that America wasn't just wanting a Klan member, because that's what they've been fed for 10 years. That America, most Americans, not all, because maybe some did want a Klan member. But I believe most of America did not want a Klan member, but they didn't want Hillary. Okay? And they didn't want Bush 2.0. You don't even, when you're here to realize he was running against Jeb Bush, we have a third Bush in office. Up to the Republicans, we'd have had another Bush. And up to the Democrats, you'd have had another Clinton. It's not running against the best in the country. You're running against the people that have the money and the resources to stand on the fucking stage. That's who you're running against. But my thing is this. You'll never really know what the promise, or Trump could have lived up to his promise, because nobody has any idea what's in store for you once you get that job. No one knows the job till you get it, and no one knows the mechanisms that are in control of that job, how shit works once you're in it. Everyone thinks they can do content creation until they get a job doing it. Everyone wants to fly the plane till they actually sit in the seat and realize those are a lot of buttons. All I'm saying is, I don't think it's all just up to Trump as far as we say he's all powerful. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's all that much. I don't know how much free willing you get to do. But something changed, obviously. Something went off the rails, and maybe there was never any intentions of doing exactly, doing the things he said he was going to do. Maybe it was all the rules. Maybe it was all a game. We are where we are. Here's my solution. Elect a black man. Yeah, elect a black man. Not a mixed man. A black guy. A real black American. A black American man. A black American man will call it straight. That will be real. That will be concerned about America. That was born in America, raised in America, around black people. That truly is American. That doesn't have 10 white handlers who went to college with a bunch of white folks who taught him how to talk black. Pick an actual black American who will want the best for black America and white America and America, but doesn't see blackness as happen to be black. Then, Nick, we doing something different. Because when you said we had Bush, same shit, Trump, same shit, Clinton, same shit, dude, Obama, same shit. No, Obama is half white, just like you. I just think it would be radically different if we had some working class people. And of course, I'm a root for me because I know what I would do. I know what I would do if I was elected to that position. It would be far different than the shit we be doing. And I just don't trust like working class people that are easily led astray by the bullshit ramblings of their families and their friends. I mean, you can't even tell your friend to stop using the N-word around you. You're one of the guys doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about Nick, but I'm saying there are white guys who don't have the guts to stand up to their friends and say, stop being a racist bigot around me. So you don't have to me, you do not have the fortitude to stand up for shit. And I believe that if you get a position like the president, you got to be like, bump all that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I don't see that in Obama, and I don't see that in Trump. Or maybe if you are so compromised based on past activities, you become handicapped by those that will use those things against you. So you can't have a whole background full of shit where you were rich in the 80s and the 90s, and then who knows what? Well, who knows who? And other people had that information on your ass. That's what I believe that really stopped Trump from doing a lot of shit he thought he could do. And that's only if you believe he really wanted to do it. Hell, man, for all we know, Trump only ran to stay out of jail. Because they were going to lock his ass up to try to get him to not run. But there you have it, Nick Fuentes. The answer to your question is a black man. We can throw barbecues on the White House lawn. What will happen to America? I don't know, fam. Something's got to give. It can't stay this way. And as long as we have people that are willing to buck the system, maybe we got a shot. I'm not that optimistic, but I do believe there's a possibility. Only if the working class people stand up and they stop letting elites who are ass kissers, who don't have any courage, lead us. They're just more focused on what they can get out of the deal. They're not actual leaders. They're just people that are put there because they go along. They're company men and women who do what the company told them to do. And they are so compromised that they just fall in line, and that's what they do. They come from a long line of falling liners. And Lord knows that's exactly what they do. And I don't think if you keep getting those people that you're going to get anything different out of them. I think there's a machine you go through. And in that machine, ironically enough, the way machines work, I don't know if you ever seen these machines. You put the dough in the machine and it comes out the same on the other end. And the only chance you got of getting something different is that go through the machine. And we keep picking people that went through the machine. And I guess people thought that Trump didn't go through the machine. And he didn't. But he went through a seedy underground. Yeah. There was other parts that we needed to be concerned about. Obama was grown in a lab. Obama was grown in a lab. So that's different. Anyway, it's interesting. I think the future of whatever we become, the future of this country and where we're able to go. And I think that the future belongs to those people who are willing to buck the system, who are willing to speak louder, to put up or shut up, to not fall in line with either party. Back in 2014, I put out a shirt. I put out a thought, an idea called Johnsons. And I said, we're all Johnsons. I put out a shirt called Both Parties Suck, Johnson. It was a hit. On my meager budget, it was a hit. It was so much a hit, got used in the show without my permission. That was almost like 7 years later. But the point of the matter is, both parties do suck, Johnson. And Johnsons are all of us. We're all Johnson. The point of me bringing all that up is this. If you don't believe both parties suck, Johnson, if you don't believe both parties are in cahoots, if you don't believe in the uniparty, if you don't believe these things, then you are disqualified from leading anything. You're disqualified for being a voice leader, a truth teller, any of that shit you stand on. You are a company man or company woman who has either drank the Kool-Aid or is too naive to even know there's Kool-Aid being served. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. You're watching Tim Black live, the most dangerous show in politics. Last but not least, let's hit it.
Do you want to respond to President Biden being diagnosed with cancer? Are you going to call your predecessor?
I think it's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I just had my physical. You saw that. You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. We had the doctors at the White House and over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital, do it. I did a very complete physical, including cognitive tests. I'm proud to announce I aced it. Got them all. I got them all right. You proud of me? Yes. Your husband would be proud of me for getting them all right. It's a little risk. If I didn't get them all right, these people would be after me. It would be not a good situation. But I think, frankly, anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's
This is the most dangerous show in America, the Tim Black Show. No masters, no middlemen. Yo, guys, don't you hate when he's got a point, but he's also crude as hell, but he's also wrong, but he's also right? He's all those things at once, Johnson. Yeah, it did seem a little weird that Joe Biden would be stage 4 of anything and not know it. I mean, the guy's got a personal doctor. He's got all, come on, Johnson. Really? Yeah, there's an argument to be made that Biden, if Biden would not have stepped down, would he have been able to beat Trump? And if he was able to beat Trump, Kamala could have became president just by the sheer fact that Biden was unhealthy. Who knew? Here goes a ripple for your book, Kamala. Maybe some people did know. All right, guys, that's it. That's all. Did you like the show? If so, good. Become a member of the Tim Black Live show. Go to jointimblack.com. Stay dangerous. You heard?